Okay, it's time to start. Um,
Are we recording?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Mark, I got this tonight.
okay, doke.
All right. Good evening, everybody. We're going to start off with the March 15th meeting at 7 p.m. This is committee meeting tonight. And on your agenda, we're starting off with finance, but I got a call from Paul, and he'd like to start first, make his presentation. So
Can we
Paul, you
do
here?
roll call first?
Was that?
You want to do
Can we
roll
do
call?
attendance?
Well, we can, yeah.
Yeah, that way
Let's
we have a
see.
record.
Thank you. Make sure I got everybody's name. We got myself, we got George, Rick Gale,
Yes, I'm here.
all right, Charlie,
Mac is present.
Yep.
Roberto,
Present.
okay, Sherry,
Yep.
Mr. Mack is here, Jen,
I'm here.
okay. Did I miss anybody?
You got them all.
Okay, uh, we'll start off with the treasurer first this evening.
Hey, thanks for giving me the time, guys. So you guys got emailed sometime yesterday uh, the repeat full budget sample or preliminary after last email that you guys received with the input from supervisors. It went from bounce budget to about 70,000 under. So I looked over the numbers, looked over revenues, anticipated revenues, and the one you received yesterday in the bottom right section did show that it is a balanced budget again. The only concern I have relevant to anticipated revenues are if we endure even half as bad as what we did in 20 for the summer, half, restaurants half full or a variety of things knocking down the revenues, things might change dramatically for this city as we'll have a new city treasurer that will have to deal with the budget that we all approved before April 1. So I want everybody to be aware, and I want the supervisors to know this too. This budget here, I would expect, should be looked at. Obviously, my nickname was the slasher in the past in the budget. We're at a break-even point now, which is how budget should be. But if somebody wants to add anything, or if any councilman wants to adjust something, you need to go for it. And then the revenues, I cannot anticipate any higher revenues than what I'm at now. So I've exhausted that. Obviously, the one big thing is with IGA here, with people shopping local, and mainly with IGA's numbers from what I'm hearing and seeing, that's going to be good. So revenues are at a standstill, can't go any higher. So if you guys, the biggest thing is a committee, and it looks like, being that it's a remote committee, I can't just have a piece of paper in front of you guys. It should be in an email, and you guys could have had it printed, which I didn't even print it because it's too many pages. I'm too cheap. So it is on the screen. So if you guys have taken a look at that, have any questions relevant to me, on the budget, that's fine. If you have questions for Luann, Jody, Penny, or David, the chief, ask them. My numbers are in green where I increased or decreased something relevant to the current spending trend. Their numbers are in highlighted yellow where they asked for something that I may or may not have agreed to, but I put it in there because I'm not going to just cut because I don't believe it should be there. I think that's up to their sales pitch or on how things should go. So if that being said, if you guys have had a good chance to look at that, obviously we don't need to approve it tonight. in the sense of going to full council, but it will be on, whether it be a motion and a second next council meeting, or whether it be a recommendation. And I would tell you, it's not pressing that it be a recommendation. As you know, we can make a motion as long as it's on the agenda. So I'm open up for questions. If you guys want to take a look at it, ask questions with anybody, I can be on here for another 5 or 10 minutes, but after I want to make sure I get this out of the way so you guys can move on with the meeting. Because I could make it an hour if you want, but I don't want to. Nobody?
Where's the budget, Paul? How do you get to it?
So your administrative budget is in the email. Yours
Okay.
did. The only thing, Luann, with
Right.
yours changed was maybe $250 because you and I had talked and I had asked you if you could do the desk potentially in this year's FY budget. And I believe you sent me an email saying it's confirmed it can be.
Yeah.
So
I
for you-
changed some other things for you, because we have to have lockable cabinets for all these records now, and that's gonna be the increase for next year.
Well, and that's something, that's where you want to look at your line items of building, equipment,
Yeah,
miscellaneous contingency. I don't know what type of locking mechanism you're talking about, because if you're talking about locking for overnight purposes, the front door is locked with an alarm system.
no,
If
it's
you're
not.
talking about-
This is required that we have personnel files and a lockable file, and all of our records, which include 7 years of personnel files and ADP files, need to be in locked cabinets, and we don't have any of that now. So we figured out we need about 6 cabinets to hold all this stuff. It's
Well,
quite extensive.
Well, and that's, the big thing on that is, if you're and I'm just gonna throw a number out there, let's say that you come up with $2,500 more. The biggest thing I challenge you and everybody else to do relevant to their budget, if you're gonna add $2,500 on one line item, I'm gonna challenge everybody to take 2,500 out of the rest of the line items to make it a wash figure. Roberto, you get your hand up?
Yeah, I don't know that the question's necessarily pertinent to tonight. Do we look at things from a standpoint of like capital expenditures when we talk about things like, not necessarily a filing cabinet, may not qualify, may not be expensive enough to get there, but do we use the capital expenditure process and concepts throughout our budgeting for the year, or do we not get that in depth?
So first of all, let me answer. The reason why I went to you is your hand was up. I didn't know if you had something relevant to what Luann was saying. So let me get Luann.
Kind of.
Yeah, it is kind of.
On this issue, if you can get that extended pre-April 1, that would be beneficial, because as of now, it's more fortuitous to do it now before the fiscal year starts. Just because we know where we're at on revenues. They're not going to take anything else away. So you're going to be pretty good on revenues. So I would look at that, get a good bid, maybe get it handled, or at least something so where
Okay.
things,
Do it in April, you're saying?
before the end of the fiscal year.
Get the desk and our file cabinets and those lockable storage stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the biggest thing on that is make sure you're within the realm or close to the realm of your budget for expenditures and line items for this fiscal year budget 20/21 that we're in now. And I
Yeah.
think you're going to you'll help out the city for the future, in the sense of not bringing 2,500 more on our shoulders next fiscal year,
Correct.
unless you have to.
No.
Uh,
And that's the problem. There is no capital outlay line item for that kind of stuff because it's really under contract and services and it really needs to probably have its own line item to work with.
Well, what I'll do, we can talk offline tomorrow. What I can do is take a look at your admin analysis and try to figure out exactly where that can be coupled in together, and then create a new account number for capital outlay.
Yeah, Yep, it might work. Thanks.
Good. So, Roberto, the one thing with you, what you had asked, and I don't know if anybody else heard it, I couldn't hear a couple of the words you said because it was mumbled. Can you somewhat repeat the capital outlay?
I was just wondering if we used capital expenditures, if we looked at when we did our budgeting and stuff, when we are trying to prepare for our budgets for the next year, are we getting that in depth in the preparation process of trying to pinpoint capital expenditures for the following year, et cetera?
So on capital outlay, capital expenditures, current debt, the one thing that I do, and I try to be within almost a perfect number. And when it doesn't come out, it's probably because the interest rate was not calculated just correctly. And I might be off a few dollars, but the one thing you get from Michelle on the third page is typically what we have loans are, or our revolving monthly or annual events, like the $250,000 loan. That's now going to be paid off by mid-August of this year. So now we're done with $3105 per month. Ironically, that's not even the budget you saw. So we're glad it's over, but everything has gone up so much. And the biggest increase is pay. And that's how it is everywhere. Street sweepers still on the books until late December. Police car, drinking water loan, that's the new tower, or the new water tower in the cemetery. So to answer your question, the major expenditures are already in the monthly treasurer's report. There are a couple things. The chief has about 17 he's added, 17,000, and he can talk to you about that if he needs to. Jody's added 25 onto equipment, and I think it's a backhoe and the boom truck. So there's things that we have budgeted in this sample budget coming up that are not etched in stone yet for Michelle's report because they're not approved yet. So yeah, I like to do a reading of what's going on. And I think the chief corrected me on the actual principal and interest of his police car. I might've been a couple $100 off total for the year. So if we can get those down to pretty close, good calculation or estimated science, makes it all work out better.
Thank you.
Anybody else for now?
This is Jenkins. I don't have anything right now. I started looking over this budget proposal. I may have some questions later, but I'll email you that when I finish looking these over. And just to add to what you were saying also, I know that some departments got some additional requests on equipment or whatever they got. But I would also ask that if you're making a request for increase in budget or add something to the budget, can you look at your budget and decide on where you're going to take these items from and make sure we determine that we do have the money to purchase those items. Try to keep the budget balanced and not go on the edge. Anybody else got any other comments before we move on?
Oops.
If we don't have any other comments, then we'll move on to finance. Finance is getting time to review and sign the bills again. I'll be up, and Michelle's got them ready tomorrow. I don't know about tomorrow because we've got interviews tomorrow, but maybe Wednesday I'll be up to review and sign the bills. But I would like to have two names tonight, so we'll know, and Michelle will know who they expect to come up and review and sign the bills.
Mr. Jenkins, this is Sherry. I'll come up Wednesday.
I'm also
Thanks,
available if no one else is.
Who else was that?
I'm available if no one else is.
Well, you'll be
Okay,
up there
so we
tomorrow,
got-
so.
Yeah, that too.
You got myself.
No, but I'm
Sherry.
sure I can grab it.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have discussion and approve to move forward with the renewal of the lease for 2 copiers for City Hall and the Police Department.
Okay, that's me. I've done some research. I've had the 2 copier people that we use now come in, or I should say 1 copier and our CompuType. They both gave me proposals.
Thank you.
Dave and I talked with them, or
Okay,
Dave and
so
I
we got-
discussed, and then I talked with the one guy, both of them, and told them what we were looking for. Dave the chief needs a color copier for all his investigative photos and everything. He needs Wi-Fi, email and scanning ability. So what we have two bids, or two, proposals. They're basically exactly the same. One might be $1 a month more. So, it's what we're going to do is we're going to lease them. We'd like to lease them for the 5 years, and at the end of the 5 years, they're ours for $1. And then at the end of 5 years, all we pay is for the maintenance coverage, which they supply everything. Both companies. Includes all service, parts, labor, mileage, fuser rolls, drums, toners, color toners, developer, and preventative maintenance. He's got more option on the amount of color photo papers. We don't need that many, but we do need it when we need it. And so on the one at the city, we're pushing for where you only pay for the actual number of color sheets you use, which they keep tally of, and then that's what I pay for. So mine's going to be low that way, but then I got them to go higher in the black and white, and a lower price per black and white. So over a certain amount, I get 40,000 black and white. I doubt if I'll ever go over that, so I don't have to worry about the price per page, but it's still like 0.009. And color pages are 0.06 each. So if I go over my allotment. And like I said, Dave's is, and mine is 96, $97. Those are the two prices that I've got per month. Right now we're paying 86. We don't have toner, we don't have email and scanning ability to other places, just to ourselves. So we're getting there, and we don't have color. So we're getting everything we want for approximately $10 a month more. Dave, I don't know what his past one was, but his comes out to be $73 a month. He's got, like, he doesn't need a multi size paper. We just use, he just uses mostly 8x10 and some 8x14 when he needs it. We use all different sizes. We have 3 different sizes that we use, and so that includes the ability to use that. So ours is a little bit, machine-wise, a little bit better on both the bids. They're one step up, but that's basically it. And I'd like to really sit down and analyze this out and make sure that we're going with the right company. One company we've had for a long time, and the other company is our tech people's company. So they'd be coming out every Tuesday anyhow if we have problems. So there's a push there, but the other one has been a very good service agreement on a machine that they didn't own at all, ever. So.
What
Wait,
two
wait, I
companies?
got one question.
Sure.
You said the cost for the printer for the city hall will be about $97, and
Yeah.
the one for a police station is 87,
No, 73.
73. Okay, thank you.
And that is at 80. 97 is basically, we had to do $90 for the equipment. It's $30 a month for all the maintenance costs. Dave's is $48 a month and $25 for the maintenance cost. So that's basically what it is. Plus we had to upgrade with to get certain things put on them. So that's where that came from.
Okay.
Okay.
Luann, this
I
is
just like, you know, I'm gonna put this in my, I'd like to have this approved or, you know, reinforced or recommended, what do you want, that I can go through and pick either one of these, that the one that comes out the best deal for the city. Which I mean,
Before I could recommend or do anything, even on a recommendation, I would like to see the whole thing in writing.
okay, I just got it today. That's why you didn't
Yeah.
get it.
Okay, yeah, but.
I mean, it's not one of
Because we're
them.
not gonna make a decision on it until next
Right.
week. But I'd like to see it in writing as soon as we can get it, so that I can analyze that. Just like the budget I got yesterday, I couldn't analyze it in one day.
I will do that with, hopefully you guys can recommend that we can, you know,
Move forward with it, we'll make a decision next week.
Yeah.
I say we move forward. It's my thoughts.
how about, do you want me to send you both recommendations or do you want me to send you the one that we decided on? Does it,
Luann, this is Charlie. What was the overall cost? Without sending all the thing like George was saying, what was the overall cost?
well, let me see. Well, if you're buying them outright, they're like $4,000, $5,000 for these color printers. That's why we decided to go with the lease.
Okay, that's
But
what I'm talking
I
about.
could get you all that. I don't have it off the top. of my
Okay.
head.
Okay,
We just figured it was better to lease it than to own it and then have to pay somebody to come in and not service their machine because it's always higher.
Can you guys hear me?
I will get all those to you.
Hello,
Thank you.
hello.
Chief's on there.
Somebody else have a comment?
Chief was on there, I think.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, just along the same lines, this was not budgeted in my budget. I had no intentions of taking this out of the budget. We will be paying for the police copier out of the police special fund. So there won't be taxpayer dollars used, just so you're aware of that, for the police department one.
Oh, gosh darn it, Dave. You wouldn't get mine too?
Can't do it.
I know.
Maybe he can deputize you and you'll get it.
Okay. Any
I have a
questions?
question. Yeah, I do. I have a question. Well, if we're kind of piggybacking off what George said, I guess, if we need to take a look, I mean, I'd like to take a look at them too. What is it exactly that we're recommending to go forward at this point? I mean, you want to see it. I understand that
No,
piece
I
of it,
don't.
George,
I
but
just like you to, yeah, whatever.
yeah, what are we recommending to go forward? Because we haven't seen anything. We've seen exactly the same amount as we did 5 minutes ago. So what changed? Why are we recommending this to go forward? Forward to where is my question. And why?
I was just under the understanding that I was going to get all this information to you guys. So you could have it, look it over, and then next week at the meeting do it. George said something about recommending. I thought you would just say, go ahead and get the best deal, but if you guys want to see them all.
right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wanna
sorry,
see
Luann.
them.
I'm sorry, Luann. My question was kind of vague and not
I got
very
you.
well directed. It was actually at George. I was trying to figure out where he was, if he could share with me what he was meaning by recommending it go forward.
Well, by next week, we have to recommend, this meeting, we make recommendations for the council agenda to make a decision. That's my recommendation, is that we get it on the agenda next week. But in the meantime, we need to see it in writing. I don't like making decisions where we're spending between the two, it looks like we're somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000, $2,400 for the year. And I'd like to see what we're getting for that.
And
I couldn't agree more. I'd like to see what we're getting for that before we decide to move this any further forward. That way we don't put the council in a position, no, with all due respect, George, that way we don't put the council in a position to feel like they need to make a decision, or put the council in a position where they may be encouraged to make a decision, perhaps in much quicker time than what is really needed.
Right, but to get it on the agenda, at least we're able to, if nothing else, to table it.
Oh,
If it,
yeah.
that's the whole, see, that's the thing. We can't make a decision to pass, to approve it, to not approve it, or to table it unless it is on the agenda to begin with. So that's my recommendation, is get it forward, but in the meantime, get us everything so we can take a look at it.
Fantastic. I'm okay with that. We can table things. I like that.
now, I have a question for you, just because I'm not familiar with how you guys do stuff. If I've already got a copy machine and I'm paying $86 a month and that's in my budget, and I want to get a different machine because ours sounds like a squirrel cage, and I want to spend $10 more for it, can I take it and put it in my budget for next year? And you guys have to go through and everything in my budget you have to okay? I don't, that's the part I don't understand. That's why I was confused.
I don't know the answer to that question, so I will yield to those with more experience.
Basically, a budget is a good guess as to what your revenue and your expenses are going to be. And if your expenses change, we don't have to go through an approval process for minor adjustments in your expenditures because it's something that's already been budgeted. But you still have to balance it out by the end of the year.
Luann, can I make a recommendation to you?
Thank you. Go ahead.
Luann, this is Rick.
Yeah.
What I would do is put in your information that you're going to give to all of the aldermen
Okay.
exactly what the situation is. Here's what I'm spending this year. It's already in the budget. Here's what I'm recommending. It's going to increase the budget by XYZ amount. And you're just getting their approval to change the contract
Okay.
for spending funds. That covers
I can do
you, it covers them, and then it's clear as mud that, hey, I already have this in my budget. I'm going to spend $10 more. Okay. And
Gotcha.
then that way we're not going through, well, I already have it in my budget.
Right.
Tell us that.
Yeah, because you're not spending 97 new dollars, you're only spending 10 more new dollars.
Right.
And that's easier to understand. To say the difference in the cost is X and that's it.
Yeah. Does that make
Okay.
it clearer for you?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
Okay.
just didn't know if you guys had if you went through everybody's budget and said this, you know, if you're buying this piece of equipment, exactly what it is, even though they've already had it in their budget.
No, we just pick on you, Luann.
Okay. Whatever. That's fine. I just want to know the procedure.
Okay,
I'm done.
thanks,
I mean,
everybody. We conclude with that topic, or anybody else got comments?
We're done.
Okay, then we'll
Put it
move
on
on.
the agenda, that's all.
We'll move on then. Next on the agenda under finance is discuss and approve the purchase of an air and surface purifier machine for City Hall and the police station.
Okay,
Is that
that's
you
me
again, Luann?
That's me again.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
We were talking it over and these machines came up. I sent out all kinds of information to you guys. And it's not that I want your approval tonight. I want you to talk to you about why we feel that we need these. These actually clean the air as it's running, and it runs 24 hours a day. It cleans 99.98% of all viruses in the air. They are recommended, they're produced by or they were developed through NASA. This company here it's being sold by somebody local. So not only would we buy the equipment, but we'd be helping a business of ours, and they would be paying taxes back in. So that's this one. I haven't gotten the other ones. I saw one other place that had these, and I'm getting those together, same kind of packet, and I'll get that to you.
Luann, I would ask you to include some that are not as expensive. I looked at those and you're talking $1,500. I'll tell you that's 3 times the amount that we spend to put in our health centers where I used to manage. A prime example, we used a company called Medify Air to put those in. They were about $300. It's a true pure HEPA filter. We actually used them in one of the surgery suites. They, in essence, do the 99.99% filtering of air to include all viruses and bacterias, and they're only $300. So to spend $1,500 because it's a local company, I would have concerns
Rick,
with that.
Rick, I
Yeah.
have one of these built into my furnace in the house, and this isn't just a filter, it's a UV treatment of the air. It's ultraviolet treatment. It's pure, it sanitizes it in addition to purifying it. So there is a little higher cost.
And
No, I'm gonna have to disagree, George. While yes, anything can go up in cost exponentially just because. I'm gonna have to go with Rick on this one. We recently we're doing a major installation at work, and the cost is nowhere near, per cubic foot of amount of air that we're gonna need to clean versus there. I think we should get a few more quotes.
And I
You know,
did
you
say,
It's the prudent thing to do.
I agree. We also need to know what we're looking at. Are we looking at just the filtration? Are we looking at filtration plus sanitizer?
okay,
That's the difference.
I've done enough bidding and getting bids on construction and everything else. Furnaces, air conditioners, these do it for a living. I'll go out and I'll get them, but we're gonna bid apples to apples and not apples to oranges. It's either, that's what I'm asking you, what do you want in your city hall? Do you want it so that as people come in and out constantly, that this thing's working constantly to rid the viruses? And do you want a good quality, a mediocre quality, or an excellent quality? That's what you guys have to decide. And I'll get the information to you in those packets. And then you're going to have to decide how important it is for future, because it's not just this COVID, it's anything else that comes along. We've got to be able to be prepared for it and help our citizens be able to come in and have meetings in our city hall. That's what this whole thing's been pushing for, is I want the city hall to be able to have your meetings again, because the citizens, they're all saying that, not all of them, but a lot of them I talk to, they wish that the meetings were open again so they could see people face to face and have questions. And it's always more conducive.
This is Jacob. I've got one comment. I looked at one of the videos, Luann, that you supplied. And one of the questions I got, because I saw an advertisement on TV by New Wave. They also got an air purification system with the light and everything. But some of the systems I looked at before for air purification systems, the filters have to be changed periodically. That's one of the concerns I have, because I think they can become kind of expensive too. So as we look at
These are
these
washable, the ones I've been looking at. So
okay, well the ones
I will get all that cost to you. Rick, what was the name of yours?
Honeywell is one of the ones that we've used, and then hang on a second.
You said Meta.
Let me pull it back up. New Wave was one. Health Space, Medify Air was the one we used. And that does have a filters. I mean, all of ours had a filter we had to change each month, but it's a
I got
HEPA
you.
filter
Yeah.
and it takes care of viruses, bacteria. I mean, believe me, our surgical suites have a higher infection control requirement than a city hall does. They run
Yes, and
24/7.
these are being used in hospitals.
Right.
So
So, but we're not spending $1,500 a
I'm going to-
piece. That's
I'm
all.
gonna find them, you know,
Okay. So
I'll find out more stuff for you.
my only concern is the price. You can get just a comparable one for about a third of the cost. That's all.
I just want to make sure they're comparable.
Yes, I would agree.
I want the quality to be the same with whatever one we're talking about, so that you guys can say, this one's the same quality as this. If it's $300 and $1,500, then I see the point. But just to say that they're comparable without really researching them better on my part, I will not say that.
Yeah.
I will say I will research New Way, Honeywell,
New Wave.
NU, right? Or is it NEW?
It's in you.
Yeah,
NUWA.
NUWAVE. No, it's
Okay.
NU. Yeah. Honeywell makes several of them that we have used as
Okay.
well.
Enough said. I'll try to get it all together for you.
All right, thank you, Luann. If there's no more comments, then we'll move on. Health and safety. Jan?
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
All right, I was having trouble getting unmuted. All right, so for today, for 62254, we're reporting 9,802 tested with 794 positive. Our congregate living centers have again remained stable. For McKendree, as of March 8th, they're still reporting just 2 active cases with no new cases since the last reporting. For our daily county positivity rate, we're at 5.7, making our 7-day rolling average at 5.3. Both of those are just slightly down from last week. For our regional positivity rate, reported on 3/12, we're down to 3.4. So all the numbers continue to go down at this point and are looking really good. So that's all I have for the COVID update. The next on the agenda for health and safety was the discussion around allowing collections at the 4-way stop. Wanting to know everyone's thoughts or concerns that they have around that.
Are other cities allowing it do you know by time? Like, have you seen anybody yet?
I have not seen
And
any.
did somebody ask, or was this just?
I believe, go ahead, Luann.
The Shriners have a long-standing collection up there on in this coming month. I think it's in April. And when we shut them down last year, they said, well, hopefully next year we can do it. And so they called me and said, what are you guys doing with it? And I said, well, it's closed down for now, but I said that nobody's really talked about it. So I'll bring it up at the meeting for you. Yeah,
Did they say when they were interested in trying to schedule this, Luann?
I think it is in the second half of April, if I remember correctly.
If I remember correctly, Luann, I think they had submitted a letter to the city in the past.
Yes.
And we asked them to resubmit when we knew what the situation of the COVID looked like.
Uh-huh.
So they hadn't resubmitted, and I think it was another organization also. I believe we said the same thing. So if they want to,
that was the the biker guys.
Okay.
Bikers Against Child Abuse. I think both of those have had them in.
So did they resubmit their letters or?
No, the one just called. They weren't gonna send anything in until I told them that we were up and running again to do that kind of stuff. Then they'd resubmit. But I got their numbers. They asked, and I'll call them back and tell them
Well,
whatever
just to
you
speak,
need to tell them.
just to speak for myself, I would say, you know, as long as they wearing their mask when they standing out there, it should be okay. That's
Those
just
are
my
my
personal
feeling.
opinion.
I'm kind of thinking we ought to set a date and say, as of this date, we will consider them so that organizations have an opportunity to get their information to us. Otherwise, if we just say we're open, then we could be swamped with a bunch of requests. We set a date out in the future and put that date out there. Like, let's say we're going to open up for charitable collections beginning May 1 or something, or April 15th. April 15th is kind of a nice day for charitable collections, but but set a date that we will start allowing them again, and that way we can get organizations can get up and running on what they're going to do. That's my feeling. That's my 2 cents.
Well, I would think if we just made the announcement that that we're accepting letters, or they can turn their letters in, they'll have the dates on them, and then we can okay them that way also.
Right. Either
And we
way,
look
but
at the date.
we need to let it be known that we're opening up and it's going to be permitted. And there is a reopening plan that's going to be announced in the near future, and it's going to be a gradual reopening. So I think we can do the same thing and say, okay, we're going to start considering the applications, and we'll take everything in consideration when you send it to us.
Okay, that's pretty much what I was saying.
Hey, Jen, you know Barb Holt at all at St. Clair County Health Department?
I do.
What,
I do.
what if you give Barb a call and ask her what she would recommend? I mean, that way we're getting it from the horse's mouth,
Sure,
as they
I
say.
can definitely try to reach out to them. I know the health department is incredibly swamped.
Yeah.
But I will definitely try to reach out to them, but they're pretty scarce right now.
Yeah. It would just be beneficial, I think, if we could say that we got health department approval.
Sure. I do know before when I've reached out to her, I think it was regarding the Halloween issue. What she wanted to refer to and use was just CDC guidelines. So I don't know that I've seen any CDC guidelines on that type of charitable giving, but I can definitely kind of cruise their website and see if there's anything out there, but have not run across anything to date.
Okay.
I guess I could call some of the other clerks and see what the other towns are doing.
Well, if we go by the health department's recommendation and CDC's recommendation, we probably shouldn't have to make any other calls. So can we table this until we hear from Jan? Would that be okay?
We could do it on the next under new business or whatever, or under health, if you want me to put that on the next agenda. If we got
I would say put it on the agenda. That way we can get it done sooner than later if we're able to do it.
Okay. We'll move on. Personnel.
The interviews, I understand, are going to happen tomorrow. So
Yes.
yeah. So that's all we have.
For tomorrow.
Yep.
Roberto, I didn't receive a schedule for the interviews for tomorrow. Did you have those ready?
It came out this afternoon, Mr. Jenkins.
Like just a few minutes before the meeting.
Yeah.
So I'll look and make
I
sure.
just saw
sent
that
it
this
to you.
afternoon.
You just emailed them?
Yeah, I'm looking for you right now to make sure I included you. I'm fairly
Okay,
certain I
thank you.
did, but just that way you don't have to jump off since you're running the meeting.
I got
We don't
mine.
have to do it right now. If you can just do it sometime this evening, maybe after the meeting will be fine.
Yeah, you're on there, so you should find it in your email after the meeting. Should be there waiting for
Okay,
you.
I'll check it. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, water and sewer. We have easements for the Belleville Street water line project. First on your agenda.
Yeah, it's news to me. Is Penny here?
Yeah, I'm here. All of these items I put on here, so I'm just going to run through them.
Okay.
The easements for Belleville Street water line project, that those are prepared. However, John sent them to me today, and I wanted him to correct some of the language in there referring to said water mains, water lines, and all necessary laterals. There's no sewer line going in that easement. So those should be ready for the full council on Monday night. There's one for 2 different properties, one for parents in Florinda Carroll and one for George Porch. Those are both on the, excuse me, south side of 50 across from Belleville Street. Second,
Okay.
the second one on the agenda, the cost of upgrading the bulk water. The EPA actually called me back again, asking us to reconsider leaving it there, which we discussed at the last meeting. I've been waiting for a bid back from the plumber that I talked to about putting a reduced pressure zone backflow preventer in there. I haven't received that bid yet, so I will try to get that again before Monday. If I have it, I'll send it out to everybody. Make sure you have it before Monday, but the EPA would like us to keep it as well, even though they told me before, send us a letter saying you're taking it out. So there we go. Discussion on procuring an intern from ERTC. We have done that on and off throughout, I mean, all the years I've been here pretty much. The ERTC is the Environmental Resources Training Center. That is a school specifically for water and sewer training. It is part of SIUE for those who aren't familiar with it. I was actually a student there many years ago. We had an intern last year, Chandel, from there as well. The school has contacted me asking us to take an intern again this year. The one that they're suggesting, his name is Rowan Tyke. And in the past, we have just offered them minimum wage as pay. They would be here 10 weeks, 5 weeks water, 5 weeks sewer internship. Their internship would be starting May the 10th or thereabouts.
I think that's great.
Anybody else have any discussion about that?
And that's minimum wage for 40 hours a week.
Yes.
Okay.
But
For
for
10 weeks.
10 weeks, yes. And that is the only part-time that we have over the summertime.
That sounds fine to me.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I assume we
Yeah, I
have the
agree.
budget to cover this wage.
Yes, it's in the budget.
Okay.
Okay, number 4.
Lastly, I just wanted to make everyone aware that the bid openings for the Belleville Street Waterline project are next Monday, the 22nd at 10 a.m. in City Hall. We would hope that we would be able to then go with the low bidder at Monday night's meeting. That was the hopes in putting it the opening for Monday. Of course, it would be with, you know,
Okay.
a review of the bidder, but initially we would go with low bidder unless there's some issue with the bid. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Penny. We'll move on to old business. Update on the solution to bring water to 624, 628, and 632 South Madison. Do we have any updates on that?
I will, well, Penny, do you have any new information on this? The last that I had spoken was the hope would that you two could then circle back with each other and chat. Has that happened?
I have not talked with Jessica at all. No, Jen had asked me if I had gotten a price. I did get a price for just the bore. That wouldn't include any materials. And I have that here in front of me. Hold on just a second. I got to dig through some papers. But that, I know what the price is. It was $5,000 for the bore. And it reads, proposed to bore Illinois Route 4, a 1-inch water line service. Price includes potholing of utilities, boring the highway, pulling service material back, minimal traffic control, no lane closures, all excavation by others, all material by others. So that is just the cost of the bore.
Yeah, Penny, this is Charlie. Does that include the diagram or whatever it was that was needed?
No.
So do you have any idea what that's going to cost?
I do not know what that would cost. I do know material wise, no labor included. I just got this today, so hold on. Material costs, and I proposed a 2-inch line under the highway rather than a 1-inch. Doesn't make a lot of sense to run a 1-inch when they were requesting 1.5 inches before anyway. So we may only put a 1-inch meter, but I would think if we did this, we would want to put 2-inch under. There's not a lot of difference in cost, and if we wanted to, you know, waive some of that for future, whatever. But the cost of materials that I have is about $1,500. That is not including labor.
Penny, with the 2-inch line, how much would there be? I guess, is there a way to know how much future service that 2-inch line would provide in addition to the 3 addresses? Like, would that 2-inch line bring enough water to the other side for future development, one way or the other, left or right?
If we were going to move all of her services to the front, which, you know, there would still have to be some other adjustments, but if we were to move all of hers to the front, I don't think it would leave a lot for anything else. The other thing to go along with that is the EPA does not allow you to cross another property with a service line as far as it being used for another property. So if we were going to run it across and call it a service line, we couldn't. We would have to make a main line, and then that would have to be a permitted line by the EPA. And then we could, you know, we could make it whatever size you wanted, but it does have to go 48 inches below the existing ditch line, which then, you know, obviously the bigger that you get, the deeper you're going to have to be because of the deflection of the pipe and getting it back up and under the highway. I still think that if we could figure out a way to come up, having a mind block, Union Street, and get it over to her that way, I still think that would be a much more viable option for any of the other businesses that would be in the area if she could get, saying she, but if the State Farm building could get an easement in that direction, or if we, I don't know that we could come down the state right away. Every other utility boring company is under there now. I'm not sure there's enough room to get in there, but so if the property on the corner, which I can't think of the name right now,
McCleary.
McCleary, thanks. if they were to ever want water for their property, it would definitely be more beneficial to come up there on Union. Also, the front properties along the highway in front of Chris's Trucking, where they used to have water, but those, I believe, have all been removed since the trailers were removed long ago.
Okay, thank you.
Penny, this is Charlie again. So the $5,000 for the boring plus the cost of the engineering cost of the diagram and things, that's all going to be on the city, correct?
No,
Is there like an arrangement or a deal made? I mean, it can't
No,
be
this-
discussed online.
I'm sorry.
I said, is there some kind of an arrangement or whatever stuff between the person impacted and the city, or is that something that needs to be discussed in?
Well,
closed
as of right now, any cost to provide water to that property is on the property owner at this point. So if something's going to be done differently, you all would have to decide that, but you would also have to be very careful because you haven't provided that service to another business that, was, well, lots of different businesses that have provided their own service and paid for that cost. So I believe that is something that you all would have to tread lightly with. But as of right now, anything above the tap-on fee that she's paid, she would have to pay in addition to get this under the highway and to her, at least what is required by her. If we were wanting to make it a main line and make it larger, then we would pay, the difference in whatever that cost would be or make some arrangements there. But like I said, if the easement could be obtained coming off of Union, I think that would be a much more viable option, and there would be a way to put a hydrant, flush the line. There's just for water quality, a better way to do it that would be that way.
Penny, I don't know that there's a way for you to just shoot a number out right now for us to even start to consider. And I know we're not going to decide this tonight, but, and I don't want to dump on you, but would it be possible to get a rough estimate of what it would cost to bring water down Union, put a hydrant, and bring a main over somewhere to service all those properties that we just discussed or just mentioned, kind of like would have been done, in an urban development planning session, if you will, just so we have something to talk about next time that we can sink our teeth into. Would that be a possibility?
Well, we would have a pretty good idea after Monday's bid opening. That's a water line, which, is going to be I believe that's an 8-inch line, but we probably would just need a 6-inch line going up Union. But anyway, a good cost estimate of, price per foot and hydrant. Both of those will be in that bid. So we would be able to get a pretty good idea Monday, I would say.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next on the old business is the janitorial position. I don't think we got any updates on that yet. Anybody
No.
have anything? Because I believe we were going to
Still waiting on the estimates and stuff. I
go
had
talk
one
about the
person-
administrative clerk position.
Well, that's,
What was that, Lorraine?
I thought you were talking about the janitorial one.
I did, but I had to backtrack because
Oh,
I skipped the administrative
ahead.
clerk assistant position.
The interviews for that are tomorrow.
Right. Now we can go on to number 3, the janitorial position. And if I remember correctly, we were talking about holding off of that until we got the position filled for the clerk assistant. Is that correct?
That was
Well-
original. Now it's getting estimates on the janitorial people to come in and do the work.
I get
Doing it
Oh,
by
yeah.
contract instead.
Contractors,
Contract the
yeah.
services.
Right.
Now, I did have a lady come in today that cleans many places in Lebanon. She's not taking any new customers residential, but she'd be willing to, she's gonna sit down and think about it and how she did it. Because as her residential ones drop off, she's not gonna renew any. And so she thought that this would be a nice one just to come in and do the work. So she's got plenty of years left. So I will get that one together also. for you.
Okay, well, that would be one,
I
that
have,
would be one recommendation.
I
And I
have
still
something
think
else
we should
for,
probably, what was that?
I have something else for old business, just a question whenever you're done with that.
Okay. Uh, like we were saying, looking into a company a cleaning company.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably ought to get some information on that or gather some information on additional
We're
services.
gathering.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sherry.
Okay, usually every meeting under old business, the McKendree Park update is on here. And of course, because I was gonna ask a question about it, it's not on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask it. Hopefully Luann will keep putting it back on there. We have not had a McKendree Park update in a very long time. And I imagine Jody might be able to answer this. What is the status and the next step that we have to do? Because there was a lot of flooding out there last Thursday.
Yeah, it's mainly just a culvert replacement. I know it's been kind of tasking us lately, having weather problems right now and manpower issues with it being vacation time.
Do we have any kind of a time frame that we can see some work starting, and what kind of work is going to be done?
It is a culvert replacement, and I'm trying to get to it as soon as I can.
Oh, okay. I did
I've
not
had
hear
cemetery
culvert
needs also that have popped up last week too.
So the culvert replacement, is that I'm going to call it the bridge. Is that what you're talking about replacing?
That is correct.
Okay. When you are doing that, is there something that can be done to put a grate or something to where someone or something could not be taken in that area into the culvert? Because it's really, I mean, I could get down in there and go flushing through because there's no grate or anything.
Yeah, we have a lot of spots like that in town. There's just a traditional box culvert.
Oh. Okay. All right. It just
we can definitely
concerns
look
me
into
with
that.
no fencing and a lot of houses and little kids and pets and things. That's all.
We can definitely look into it.
Okay. Thanks, Jody.
No problem.
All right, is that it, Sherry?
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. George, we have any public comments? George?
There's not any chat type questions that I see.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. Okay, next on the agenda is new business. A presentation by Amanda Don Tigney concerning the use of the new parking lot for the farmers market this year.
Hi, everyone. Luann, thanks for getting me on right away since I kind of dropped the ball and didn't get this in early enough. So we did pretty good with the farmers market last year, and we'd like to bring it back again this year. And we had a request to do it more often. So we would like to do it possibly twice a month, starting at the end of April and running all the way through to the middle of September. going the first and third Wednesday evening of the month. We picked the Wednesday evening because that is the slowest time for our restaurants uptown, and it brings them in quite a bit of business for the restaurants. Last year when we used the parking lot, it worked out very well. That way the ground, we didn't have to deal with wet ground and tearing grass up and things like that. Plus, we have a lot of vendors that work out of their trucks or trailers. And we would like to do that again. We will run from 5 p.m. till 7:30, but we need time to set up and tear down. So we would like the parking lot from 3 until about 9.
AJ, I thought we did it from 2 last year.
No,
we did, but nobody showed up that early.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we adjusted it to 3. That way we didn't take the parking lot any longer than we had to.
Okay. That works.
No.
Yeah, I just got one question. We were discussing the collection at the four-way stop, and we were also discussing having the vendors or whoever to resubmit their letters. Now, the four-way stop would be different from the parking lot or using the parking lot because you're gonna have a gathering of people. Had we considered safety factors or anything?
We ran the farmers market in the middle of COVID all last year through the middle of COVID. We have a limited number of vendors due to COVID. That way we could be spaced far enough out. I provide hand sanitizer and masks in case anyone forgets theirs or needs them. I set up a little table with extra hand sanitizers and masks, and we actually had no problems at all with social distancing or anything like that. We hope to, once COVID blows over and all that, be able to add more vendors, but we really haven't been able to book enough vendors yet for that to be an issue.
Okay. Will masks be required or?
We do put it. We put it in our application that the vendors need to be wearing their masks, and we do ask that people, when they come and shop, that they also wear masks if they're not able to socially distance.
So it's a requirement for the vendors, but a recommendation for the shoppers.
We try to follow the CDC guidelines as much as possible.
Okay.
People were really good last year, Mr. Jenkins. People social distance, they wore masks. Of course, there were some that will not wear masks, but they don't wear masks anywhere. And, but everybody was they really paid attention and did what they were supposed to do.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, this is Charlie. I'll just say the same thing I said last year. I mean, a farmer's market's a great idea, but I think using the new parking lot kind of, you know what I'm saying, mixes the idea of parking. You want to bring people in, which you're going to bring people in for the vendors, I guess, but it just defeats the whole purpose of having the parking lot.
That's why they do it on Wednesday night, because the restaurants are not busy. We did not have any problem. I personally took signs to the restaurants and to the nail place. And to be quite honest with you, even though we wanted it at 2 o'clock last year, after the lunch rush hour at Cobblestone, it was empty.
We specifically went around to all of the shops uptown and said, what night would work best for you to do this? And they all were in agreement that Wednesday night was their slow night. This brings business into their establishments, the ones that are open during those hours. Most of them close by 5, and this starts at 5 p.m. Last year, we tried to use the grassy area, which is where everybody wanted us to set up. We were not able to do that without tearing the grass up. And then, like I said, a lot of our vendors need to work out of their trucks. They have trailers. It's impossible to do that, you know, unless you want them to park in that grass, and then you run into the problem. They're going to tear that grass up. If we are going to do this, the only way we can do it is by either shutting the street completely down, which we know everybody in town absolutely hates, or by using the parking lot.
And there, Shirley, there was still plenty of parking.
Yeah, I mean, everybody closes by 5 uptown with the exception of Cobblestone. Grit and Tonic's closed on Wednesday night. So you have Cobblestone and the 2 bars. They're the only ones open. We also have 2 of our businesses uptown that set up at the farmers market. That are
I'm glad you mentioned. I was going to mention that about the park area up there, the northwest and southwest quadrants of the park up there. You know, the grassy area you were talking about, because I thought that would. I mean, I understand the mud and stuff, but I thought that would kind of people coming up 4 and 50 that, you know, they see that's going on. Not everybody's going to read the marquee and stuff up the square and know that there's actually a farmer's market down there.
Yeah, we tried. It's just not feasible without making ruts and tearing that area up. But you know, it's just not feasible. We don't want to damage that area.
Okay, at least you tried.
Okay, so we have a general consensus that we can take this to the council for approval?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Before we adjourn, we got one more thing we have to discuss, and I would like to go into closed section. Won't be any voting or anything, just information only right now. So if we can, I guess I have to do it first. Under new business, we're called to go into executive session under 5 ILCS 120, Section 2C2 of the Open Meeting Act for deliberation concerning salary schedules for 1 or more classes of municipal employees, and R5 ILC 120, Section 2C1 for the consideration of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. So that's a little bit about why we're going into the closed section.
Mr. Jenkins, you have to announce who can go into that. So you would want all the council members that are on board at tonight's meeting, plus the mayor.
And the clerk.
And the clerk. Yeah.
The clerk.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe you just done that.
So George, are you running the meeting, the Zoom?
Yeah, let me pause the recording. I'm pausing the recording so that we can go into the closed session, and I'll start the recording in the closed session. So hang on.
George, you're still recovering. You're muted, George.
Yeah, it's always best when you go back. I was saying, when I got back here, we are recording again.
Okay, so I
And,
can
right
stop my
now-
recording.
You can stop your recording. Luann and Wilbert are, Luann left and she's back. She's back
Luann's
here.
here.
We're waiting for Wilbert.
Luann's here.
Okay, yes, I saw that. And Wilbert is not left yet. I don't know if he's back. He's left there. Did he come back?
Nope.
He's not in the room.
No.
He may have
Gotten dropped.
got dropped.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a quorum.
I'll move that we,
Second.
I'll move we, end the meeting.
We have to at least do a roll call to make sure we're all here again. So Roberto, you're here. I'm here. Rick, you're here. Charlie's here. Sherry is here. Landell is here. Jen is here. Okay, now Rick, you want to do something? Go ahead.
Sure, let's close meeting.
Mr. Mack, you're in charge.
Sorry, I just want to say thank you to everyone for a spirited conversation. I don't think I've had that much color
We're not here.
in my basement.
Rick, you might have said that you thought we should adjourn this meeting. but-
Actually, George, can you hang on a second. Can you let
Wilbur wants
Mr.
back
Jenkins
in.
back
Yeah, let
in?
me-
He just sent me a text.
There we go. I see it.
He needs to be.
It's one of the reasons why I don't like running the Zoom and being participating, because I can't see everything that's happening.
There he is.
But we're trying to find another volunteer to do this.
Sorry, I'm all tied up.
Hey, Mr. Mack, it looks like we're all back. Where'd Mr. Mack go now? Oh, there he is.
Yes, I would make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
A second.
Second.
Second, third, and fourth, and fifth.
Mr. Mack, you are muted.
I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're unmuted now.
Okay.
And this is Jenkins. I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Did I miss anything?
Yeah,
we're
I
just
was
sitting
trying to
here
get
talking
out
about
of this
adjourning.
meeting.
Okay, Mr. Mack. Are you gonna
Okay.
call for an adjournment?
Yes, adjourn.
Adjourn.
There being no
Thank you,
further
Mr. Mack.
business. Very good.
Hey, George.
Yes.
Um,
And now we're going to leave.
Can I get with you, George, just on Zoom info for tomorrow?
Sure.
Rick, I got it from you, but I couldn't get in. Oh, he took off.
Yeah.
Do you want me to call you?
Yeah, you can call me.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Talk to you in a bit.
All right.
Okay, then. Good night, all.
Good night,
night.
all.
Hasta la vista.
Good night.
Mañana. Roma.